52,000 Christians have been murdered in Nigeria. Why is nobody talking about it? More than 19,000 churches have been destroyed, and millions of believers have been displaced from their homes by Islamic extremists. I am Lorena, and I will be taking you on a journey with this topic, the plight of Christians in Nigeria, a silent genocide, and I will be exploring the rising violence and attacks on Christian communities in Nigeria, particularly in the Middle Belt and in the northern states. The situation in Nigeria is dire, with reports indicating that over 52,000 Christians have been killed since 2009 and more than 7,000 killed between January and August 2025 alone. The violence have been said to be concentrated between the Middle Belt and the northern region, where Islamic extremist groups like Boko Haram and Fulani herdsmen target Christian majority farming communities. As we dive together in this very important message, I'm going to be talking about the historical context, where I will expatiate more on the roots of the violence and attacks against Christians in Nigeria, the underlying causes, and the impacts on communities. Come with me. Nigeria, a nation characterized by its rich cultural diversity and complex religious landscape, has witnessed an alarming rise in violence against its Christian communities, particularly in the Middle Belt and northern regions. This escalating conflict has raised concerns among international observers, human rights organizations, and the global Christian community, leading many to label the situation as a silent genocide. This documentary explores the rising violence and attacks on Christians in Nigeria, examining the underlying causes, the impact on communities, and the urgent need for intervention. Let's take a look at the historical context. The roots of the violence against Christians in Nigeria can be traced back to historical tensions between various ethnic and religious groups. The country is roughly divided along religious lines, and the predominantly Muslim north and the largely Christian south. The Middle Belt, which serves as a transitional zone between these two regions, has become a hotspot for violent clashes, primarily fueled by disputes over land, resources, and religious identity. Rising violence and attacks. In recent years, there have been a significant increase in attacks in Christian communities, particularly in the Middle Belt states such as Benue, Plateau, and Kaduna. Armed groups, often identified as Fulani herdsmen, have been implicated in numerous violent incidents, including killings, kidnappings, and the destruction of churches and homes. These attacks are frequently characterized by their brutality, leaving communities devastated and instilling a pervasive sense of fear among the Christian population. Reports indicate that thousands of Christians have been killed in these attacks, with entire villages being wiped out. The violence has not only resulted in loss of life, but has also led to massive displacement, with many Christians fleeing their homes to seek refuge in safer areas or camps for internally displaced persons, the IDPs. The humanitarian crisis that has emerged from this violence is there, with many lacking access to basic necessities such as food, shelter, and medical care. Let's take a look at the underlying causes. Several factors contribute to the rising violence against Christians in Nigeria. One significant factor is the competition for land and resources, particularly between herders and farmers. As climate change exacerbates agricultural challenges, these disputes have intensified, often taking on religious overtones. Additionally, the lack of effective governance and security in many regions has allowed extremist groups to operate with impunity, further endangering vulnerable communities. Furthermore, the socio-political landscape in Nigeria plays a role in the persecution of Christians. Yes, there are allegations of complicity or negligence on the part of the government, with critics arguing that the authorities have failed to adequately protect Christian communities from attacks. This perceived abandonment has fueled resentment and distrust, leading to calls for greater international attention and intervention. The impact on communities. The violence against Christians in Nigeria has profound implications for affected communities. Beyond the immediate physical danger, the ongoing attacks have resulted in long-term psychological trauma, disruption of education, and economic hardship. Many families, sadly, has lost their primary breadwinners, and the destruction of properties and livelihoods has plunged communities into poverty. The attacks have also led to breakdown of interfaith religions and relations, with increased polarization between Christian and Muslim communities. This division threatens Nigerian social cohesion and raises concerns about the potential for further conflicts in the future. As I conclude, the plight of Christians in Nigeria is a complex and multifaceted issue that demands urgent attention. The rising violence and attacks on Christian communities, particularly in the Middle Belt and northern states, highlights the need for a concerted effort to address the underlying causes of conflicts and to protect vulnerable populations. As the international community grapples with the implication of this silent genocide, it is crucial to amplify the voices of those affected and to advocate for justice, security, and peace in Nigeria. The time for action is now, before the situation escalates further and more lives are lost. Thank you for watching. I am Lorena.